Okay, in this exercise we're going to introduce something very basic and very important to radio production, and that will be setting up the basic workflow for a live show. And in our studio we have 3 workstations that you have access to that are necessary to do this, and we're going to talk about them from left to right as you enter the studio. Now what you're looking at here is the Macintosh workstation, and this is the radio transmitter or the radio server. This is what's actually going out to the internet. As you can see, we have our automation program that is playing a regular playlist which includes a lot of show reruns, and you can see here we have the audio going out. This is going out to the internet, and we're going to show you a little bit about how this works. But if you look over to your right beyond this system, you'll see this one. Now this system is the Playback Computer, and basically what happens here is anything that you can hear in your show besides your voice is controlled here. So for example, we have iTunes right here, which is an audio source. We also have the soundboard, which you're welcome to use, and anything else that you can possibly bring in. And finally, once again, we have the radio recording computer, and the mixer goes into this. So the way to understand this, the mixer takes in the microphone and leads it to here. It also takes in the playback computer and brings that to here also, but the output of this system also goes to the transmitter or the server computer. Okay, so as you're putting together a live show, one of the things you're going to want to do is make sure that all of your sources are set. If you have a soundboard that you want to use, make sure you've accessed it here, and soundboards are basically where you can play, like for example, the tires screeching if that's important or something like that, generally sound effects. And here in iTunes, for example, or some other system like that, you can have your playlist all ready to go. And so then when you introduce a song, your producer or yourself can just hit play there and you can bring it up on the mixer. And finally, the recording computer, you get that all set up. So the way you set up the recording computer is you go to File and make a new audio file. And in this case, we're going to call this show morning_show, and we'll call this 16, and we'll hit OK. And so remember, we also want to save this where we know where it is. So do File, Save As, Morning Show 16, and you can see we have MU Radio. What we're going to do here is we're going to actually create a new folder because this is MU Radio Spring 17. So what we'll do is make a new folder called MU Radio Fall 17. And in there, we're going to call this one morning_show. And that's where the file is going to be. And so that way, I know exactly where it is. And once again, we've got the wave, and we've got the specification. It's going to be stereo, 44 kilohertz, uncompressed. Everything is fine. So I hit OK. So I'm ready to record. The moment I hit this record button here, I am live. Now before we do that though, we have to make sure that we're live on the internet. So we go back to our radio server, and here we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to interrupt the automation program. The way it is now, the automation program plays back playlists. So what we have to do is basically temporarily shut it off. And so this first button called Auto On, we click that once, turn it to Auto Off, and then we pause anything that happens to be going. And notice when you do that, there's no audio. So we're going to stop the broadcast. Now this program here broadcasts from whatever is coming out of this system. If we look at the source, the application is Radiologic DJ. That's what this is. We're going to change that to audio device, which is going to be the system input. That's where the radio show would come from. Okay, so next we're ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and start broadcast. We're going to go live on the air, and at the very same time we're going to go over to here and we're going to hit record. And then, assuming that we were ready, we'd be talking on the microphone, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start playing something over here. And so then, as you see, here we're getting audio, not very loud because the mixer is down. And if you look at the radio server, we can see that it is picking that up as well. So, this is the beginning of a radio show. And then you can, of course, go to your soundboard, for example, and let's say I hit one of those. That'll create some action for a while. Maybe hit this one. And you can see that that's showing up on the meters there. So you're live. And then as you're going live, you can look down here and see your time. There's also a nice big clock on the wall where you can register what time is going on. You have to make sure you're including all of your sweeps and things like that. And so then, let's pretend that your show is about to end. So at this point, you're saying your goodbyes, and then as you fade out, the first thing you want to do is hit the stop button, and before you do anything else, go to your radio server and stop your broadcast. Now you're not on the air, and you can turn off the on-air sign as well. And then, real quick, switch your device back to application. You can only do this when the broadcast is stopped. Radiologic DJ. And then, basically, turn auto on back on and start the broadcast. Now, the system is playing the regular playlist. And if you go over to here, your record computer, basically what you would do is go ahead and hit save, and you're ready. And of course, from your Radio 2 PC, not that it would necessarily matter, but you would stop anything that's going on there, bring it down on the mixer. So here, the last step would be to save your file. Now remember that a WAV file is very large, and so when you archive your program, you must save it as an MP3. So you're going to save the file. In this particular case, you would go to MP3. You can even keep the same name, and it's going to go into the same place, and hit OK. And once that's done, if you look at your folder, you have Morning Show 16 MP3, and this would be the final version of the file, which you would then put into your archives and upload to your website and put into the rotation. And we'll talk about that in a later video.